We are going to talk about this no contact thing with your avoidant ex or your narcissist ex or a normal relationship that went south ex kind of thing, where you are stuck in this feeling like you really want to reach out. And how do you hold no contact when you really do want to reach out or you want them to reach out and they're just not? I have found that most videos that I watch don't really make me feel better about this, and mainly because they're talking about the avoidant all the time and not about how I can get through this. And that's what I want to do in this video. We are going to talk a little bit about them, stuff you've already heard probably, but we're going to dive in deeper. By the time you're done with this video, you're going to feel quite a bit better about this and actually be able to process this no contact thing better, where you won't feel so anxious about this whole no contact thing, where you'll be able to hold it a little bit better. So we'll start off with this. How many times have you wanted to connect? Almost every day. And the messages that you typed up, and sometimes really long ones, and then you deleted them because it just doesn't say the right thing. There's that voice in your head saying, just say it this way, and they'll understand it like this. Or maybe they're thinking about me too, or maybe I'm the one that needs to open the door. Brother, sister, my anxious, beautiful friend, I know that voice. I've lived it. And I want you to hear me on this. That voice feels like love, but it's not. It's something very, very different. So we're going to slow this down, you and me together, and I'm going to help you understand what's happening inside of you. I'm going to walk you through this with you, not at you. And we are going to start to crack open those things that are trying to pull you back into such an unhealthy relationship. So what I'm going to cover is about what you're feeling and why you feel like you have to reach out. Then I'm going to talk about 10 different things that will help you justify internally in your emotional world why to keep no contact. We'll talk a little bit about why you have to stay in, when you have to stay in contact. Like if you own a house together, you have kids together. And then we're going to cover that other side. What if they reach out to you? And then we'll wrap this whole thing up. So let's start off with why you feel like you have to reach out. So let's take a breath for a second and settle down. And I want you to get inside of you and to your feeling. I don't want you to just watch. I want you to feel the no contact anxiety that you're going through. Because what you're feeling right now, what you're always feeling, that pull, that urgency, that almost pressure inside to reach out, it's not random. And I know you've heard this before. It's your nervous system. So what do they mean about nervous system? Because this is like psychology talk. And it takes a long time for us to understand what they mean by nervous system. So I want to explain this to you so you have a little bit better understanding. We have 3 levels of awareness, basically. We have the consciousness, the part of you right now that is watching this video and absorbing the information. You're consciously listening to me talk about this no contact thing. Then we have our superconscious, and our superconscious is what is guiding us. That's the one that's saying our avoidant did something that hurt us, and we need to do something about that. That's the superconscious, our spirit, protecting us, telling us what we need to be aware of something. And then there's the subconscious, and the subconscious is basically below your awareness, your aware consciousness that you're working with right now. It's like that automatic part of you that has a reaction as soon as somebody says something. It's like you're avoidant. They push your button and you have a reaction before you even have a thought about it. That's your nervous system. That's happening below your level of consciousness, and it's part of your programming. I like to think of the nervous system like this. First of all, your trauma or your pains and the things that happen in your life and the good things, that all gets stored in the body. It's the best way I can explain it. It seems kind of convoluted, but just think of it as it's stored in the body, because I want you to think of it like that, because we can't find the logic to rearrange these desires, right? Think of it like you're a word processor, and you have it has a light screen, and you want to change it to dark screen. You have to change the settings in it, but if you don't know where those settings are at, you can't change it, and it's going to drive you crazy because you're stuck on your light screen. So It's background programming, and we have to become aware of it. We have to dig into it. And that's why these videos about no contact generally don't help you, because they're more surface level. So when you lean anxious, connection feels like safety, and distance feels like something is wrong. It feels dangerous. It feels alone. It feels like you're not worth it. That people rejecting you, you're avoidant, is a sign about you. We internalize that in our nervous system. And that is actually activating a part of our nervous system that is afraid of that abandonment or that rejection. So your system starts to try to solve it. It starts saying, let's fix it. Let's repair it. You do something so you don't lose them. And this is where it gets really important. You were the one who showed up in that relationship. And really pat yourself on the back, because you truly showed up with all good intention. You were willing to open your heart and work through everything. You showed up in a real good way to have a real relationship. You tried to talk, you tried to understand, you reflected, you validated, you did the work, and they didn't meet you there. Now your system is trying to tell you to go back and finish something that never got completed. See, what has happened is your avoidant has rejected you, and they've done it in really unhealthy ways. Their pain is hurting you. Basically, what they're doing is they're outsourcing their pain to you so that they don't have to feel it. And by doing that, you are not only carrying your own load, but you're carrying their load. And you're trying to close that loop. You're trying to finish this connection. And that's why we want to reach out. We want that calm to come back to us. And we'd like to just kind of end it at a calm level, right? That's who we are. But the way they do it, when they cut off, it's not healthy. What you want is very healthy. But because it's unfinished, that's why it feels so strong. Because us as anxious people want closed loops. If we don't have a closed loop, we're anxious, basically. So I want to walk you through this with me before you send any more messages, and just kind of back off and think before you think about it, right? So we're not going to go fast. We're going to go slow, because this moment right here, when you want to send a message, this is where you either go back into the cycle that's going to hurt you again, or you finally step out of it. So here's what I want you to think about. When we're in this space where we want to make contact, we forget about all that crap that they did that hurt us. And if you can close your eyes and go back to that moment, those many moments that felt unresolved, and the pain that you're feeling, the emotional spiral you're going down, the loneliness that you felt, probably almost physical loneliness, and the lack of intimacy. And I don't know if you felt it, I felt it, almost physical pain in my body of how that intimacy was lacking. I mean, I really wanted to make love with her, right? But that was long gone. And it actually, I physically felt pain from that. So I want to give you 10 reasons that will really help build this foundation to stay in no contact and to start to crack this cycle. Because it's not going to crack overnight. It is going to take time. And this is going to help you so much. So let's get into a little deeper dialogue in these 10 reasons. So your desire for wanting them to contact you, or you wanting to make contact, it's not about them. It's about relief from your pain. I know it feels like you miss them. I still miss mine, by the way, and I still want contact, but not nearly like I did. And at least I've got standards now. If she tried to make contact, and if she wanted to get close, it's like, oh, we got a lot of work to do before we even consider that, before I even consider it. But anyway, we're not going there. I know it feels like you just want to talk to them, and you just want them to talk to you in a loving way. But let's be honest for a second. What you really want is relief from how this feels. That tightness in your chest and a looping in your head. That I just need something to change feeling. And reaching out feels like that change will be it. but it won't. And I think a part of you actually knows that it won't. And that's why you're kind of sitting in this vacillation of this no contact, because even though you know it feels good, there's a part of you that knows it's not going to work. It just trades for short-term relief, but it's going to lead into long-term pain. There's a part of you that actually knows if you make contact that you're going to re-engage that pain that you're going to feel, and you know that that's going to come back at you later, and it's going to hurt. That hurt is just going to keep on going on. So that's the first one, right? The first one is it is not about them. It's about your relief from the pain you're feeling. Number two is nothing has actually changed. So let me ask you something. What has actually changed? Not that you want hope, not what you imagine with that person. What has actually changed? Because the last time, you're the one doing all the work. You're the one trying to repair. You're the one trying to understand, and they weren't meeting you there. And they haven't made contact with you to reach out, to make any fixes on the stuff that they broke. That means there's no change. If they have reached out to you, which we'll talk about a little bit more, but the only kind of reach out that you really want from them is the kind of reach out that says, I have now realized I've done some things that really hurt you, and I want to understand what they are, and I want to talk to you about them, and I want you to tell me what they are so I can work on them and make them better. And then it might be worth it. But until that moment happens, you know in your heart, and I want to just tell you and reinforce to you that nothing has changed until you actually see something like that. And they have to do a lot of work to get to that point. So what would you be really walking back into? I know you want it to be different, but wanting it does not make it different. This is where we have to take a breath and close our eyes and just remember the things that they did. This is why your subconscious, your mind pops back in when you want to make contact. Somehow it reminds you, remember when this person did that. You'll just get a memory of one of the bullshit things that they pulled on you. And that's your superconscious saying, don't go there. All right, this is your reminder of how it really felt. So number two is why you don't want to make contact is because nothing has changed. They haven't proven a thing. Number three is you're teaching them how to treat you if you do reach back out. This one is tough, but I'm going to say it gently and squarely. Every time you go back without change, and it really takes two people changing, you are teaching them this is okay. The way you treated me is okay. And I'm coming back in, and I'm by this little action of making contact is saying, you hurt me, but I can still talk to you. I'm still going to reach out to you. And no matter what you say, they're going to read it as, oh, okay, they're reaching back out. That means all this other stuff I still didn't have to deal with. And it's also like you're teaching them to say, you can do whatever you want to me. I'll still be here. And I know that's not what you mean to do. You're not trying to lower your standards. You're trying to hold on to love, but the result is going to be the same. You know this. It's so hard, though, to let go because you feel like you really love them. And what we're trying to do is we are trying to get back that love that we felt for them, that potential that we felt for them. And that potential is what we saw in the beginning. That really tight connection, the great connection, the love making and all that before. We're always trying to get back to that place. That just isn't real. That was just in the honeymoon. That was not after everything settled down. There's a saying out there, time reveals true character. And that's what happened in your anxious avoidant relationship, what had happened in my anxious avoidant relationships. Time reveals the truth. So in the beginning, it's all fire. Once they can't hide it anymore, their normal self comes out. And you end up accepting what hurt you if you go back. That's part of the training that you're giving them if you make contact, even the littlest contact. The other thing is, number 4, is you reopen the wound. You were starting to heal. Every day is just a little bit of healing over this no contact, a little bit more distance with that person. But even if you didn't feel like it, you were. That silence, that space, that's where healing lives over time, but also internalized. And you can't just give it time, because if you just give it time and don't work on it, the healing doesn't really work. And that, if they make contact with you later on, they're going to hit that little button and it's going to trigger something in you. I had one do that right after I got married to my wife. And she's long gone. She died a long time ago. There's a girl that I dated a long time before. It wasn't 3 days after I married my wife, this chick called me up. That girlfriend, old girlfriend, right? And it pushed a button in me. I was attracted to her, right? Because I didn't heal it. So this silence, this space, taking the time, this is where the healing lives. And the moment you reach out, that wound opens right back up and you start to hit the reset button. You go right back into wondering, waiting, analyzing. When you send that message, then you're sitting there going, when are they going to respond? They're going to respond, right? You're going to have that anxiety pop right back up again. And then they don't respond. Or they don't respond the way you want them to. That's the other thing. Before you actually send a message, what do you want to hear from them? You really should know that, because what you're trying to do is get comfort and relief, but we don't really know what we want from them when we send a message. Therefore, we're not sending a message to make real communication. And that energy is going to be sent through that message. So you do this, you're hurt all over again. You've reopened the wound. Now, number 5, you're leaving yourself again. How many times have you abandoned yourself in that relationship and really just lost your interest in your work? You became really lethargic, no energy. Your relationships, they're really low. You didn't talk to people. You weren't sharing the real you. The real you wasn't even there anymore because you had so much this negative energy hanging on you. You're losing yourself again. Let's be real. In that relationship, how many times did you ignore yourself? How many times did you feel something but pushed it down to keep the peace and say, I'm sorry for something they broke? How many times did you stay? When something in you knew this wasn't right, if you reach out now, you're doing the same thing again. You're choosing them over you. You are the most amazing soul on the planet. And with your empathy, your mindfulness, your thoughtfulness, your desire to repair, your ability to reflect and validate, that is beautiful, beautiful characteristics. And the level of love that you have to give to someone, amazingly high and deep. And that avoidant, boy, you already know. It's reaching out is basically you're just throwing your heart back out the door. That heart that you've been working on healing. All right, number 6 is love is not earned through effort. This is a tough one to really try to understand. So as anxious people, we did a ton of work with our avoidant partners trying to earn their love for shit that they would break. Their messages really are stay away, stay away, stay away, right? And we're always pulling them, right? And so we're always doing an effort. We're doing the emotional work for 2 people. If you really think about it, as that relationship went on, and they're always causing damage and you're trying to repair, you're starting to carry the load for 2 people. And then they shove things back at you in anger. You'll try to bring something back up. And I thought you were going to bring that up again. And they come out with that voice. Now you're carrying that negative energy. So there's a part of you that believes, if I just try a little harder, you already did that in a relationship, right? They'll see me. You already did that in a relationship. Try a little harder. God damn, did you try? If I say it better, they'll understand. You've said it so well, so many times, there's no better thing you can say. If I don't give up, it'll work. No, it won't. As the anxious person, we don't want to give up. But there's sometimes where we have to say, it's time to give up. I'm going to work on me because I want to find somebody that's actually going to care about me. And it's going to feel so good. So all this stuff, this isn't love, right? Love's not earned through any effort. Love is something that works back and forth. You already know this. You want the validation, the reciprocity, the reflection. They don't, right? So we chased it. Real love doesn't require you to convince someone to show up. There are actually real people out there that actually care. And you should find an anxious person, right? Go out with an anxious person. You guys will validate each other out the wazoo, and you can actually like admit to each other, I'm anxious. Oh, I'm anxious too. All right, now we can work with this. Okay, number 7 is you already saw the pattern. In the relationship, you saw the pattern of this contact thing. They pulled back how many times? How many times did they broadside you or dismiss you, right? It wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't one misunderstanding. It wasn't a pattern. You reaching, they pulling away. You trying to repair, they shutting down over and over and over. And that was in the relationship. What's the difference outside of the relationship? The thing with them is they need to feel safe. And for them to feel safe, we trigger them. We trigger their stuff. The beautiful parts of us, that the real good, normal relationship stuff that's in you literally triggers them to run. They love that in you, but it scares them to death because if you actually see the real thing that goes on inside of them, which is a sense of worthlessness, deep sense of being broken and shameful, if you see that in their mind, you're going to run. My girlfriend had told me once, she said, I feel flawed. Right? When we sat down, we talked about something. She actually communicated that. That was pretty good. So the part of you says, maybe this time it'll be different. When you got in this relationship, you thought you were different. You thought you were the special one. Now you're just another stamp in their passport book. All right, number 8, you become the fixer again. The moment you reach out, guess what role you step right back into? The one who fixes, the one who understands, the one who carries the emotional weight, the one that says, I'm here, I want to talk to you, the one that hands over all your power once again. And I know you're good at all this stuff, that you can carry the emotional weight and all that, but this was not a relationship. This was a brutal, emotional battering ram that you were playing, that they were treating you like, right? You were an emotional punching bag, and they friggin' beat the shit out of it. That's you doing the work for 2 people, taking the hits and keeping everything up. Number 9 is you block what's trying to come into your life. This is the big one, right? You are a beautiful person. You got amazing energy. And while we got this toxic person over here that we are waiting to come back and make us tell us we're okay and make us feel whole again, every time you look backwards, you close yourself to that amazing, beautiful person who can truly validate and have a relationship with you that is an actual 2-way street. And I know it's hard to hear because right now you don't want someone else. I'm still struggling with that. I still have my ex kind of in my mind, but at least I know now that if she came back, I would be very, very guarded on her. And I have standards now. I would not let her back in. I'm still at a point where I'd actually say hi, but I'd be enormously guarded. And I'm very confident now that if she says, I want to talk, I'd say, what do you want to talk about? What do you want the result to be out of this discussion? And with that, I would know how to handle it. And I would say, if she wanted to come back in, I would say, there are several things before we even talk that you're going to need to know about. You're going to have to take accountability for several things. You're going to have to show me that you understand what you did, empathize with it, and then you're going to have to show me with consistency. But she'd have to do so much She has to be really good to convince me. So one thing that's good about this stuff is on this side of it, you are getting really smart and aware of these behaviors, and you're able to handle them. You build up the standards and boundaries, and you're able to push back. Because at some point, you get to that point where I can't do anymore. I'm not going to do anymore. So you doing this is blocking you from what's coming to you, and you got something beautiful coming to you. All right, right now you don't want someone else, you want them. But what if what's ahead of you is someone who actually wants to meet you at that level, and you don't get to that if you don't get to that if you keep your openness. We got to go through this. We got to feel this stuff. You got to let this feelings flow. What we don't like is the pain that is part of this. So instead of trying to hold the pain back, right? Because the way we're doing it, we want to contact. We want them to reach out. But the pain is the process to grow. Number 10 is you deserve reciprocity. Hands down, let's just land it here for a second. You showed up, you cared, you tried, you reflected, you made changes, you gave that relationship everything you had. You didn't need to give more. You need to give someone who gives back, or you need someone who gives back. That's not too much. That's what a relationship is supposed to be. So sit with it. Sit with this, these 10 reasons. Go back and watch this again. We still got more to talk about, because what if they reach out? Or what if you have to communicate with them? We'll get to that. But right now, I want you to sit with these 10 reasons. Go back and watch this. I know the urge is still there, and that's okay. I know part of you is still saying, just one message, please, I just wish they'd reach out. That's who we are, right? But we are, I think that feeling doesn't always, it takes a long time to go away. But what we have to do is work on us, build up the standards, just keep reminding ourselves what they did, because it's so easy to forget all the hurts that they did. So here's what I want you to do. Don't fight it. Don't judge the feeling. Just sit with it. Let it be there, because that feeling, it will pass. And every time you don't reach out, you're doing something powerful for you. It's just another break in that cycle. And you're choosing yourself once again. And it's a little bit at a time. And I want you to hear this clearly. You're not losing them. Slowly, you're finding you. So let's talk about what if they reach out to you. Right? This is where it gets real. I want to talk a little bit about if you have to make communication with them. Right? So there are cases. You have kids together, you were married, you have property together, or whatever, business, you work together. This is where what I do is what I learned to do in that relationship was precondition myself. And if I know I was going to talk to the person, I would sit down and say, this is just business. We're going to talk about this from A to Z, and nothing else is going to come in. There's going to be no emotional sidelines. If they start, I'm going to exit. And that's where we say, if they start, you communicate something that you have to communicate, you do that. But if they start on something else, say, you know what, I have to go. I'm not going to talk about this, right? So everything we just talked about, that's when you want to reach out. But this is different. When they reach out to you, and when that happens, your whole system lights up. Your heart jumps. I can feel it right now. If I saw a message from mine, even though I got boundaries, I would still get that little skip in my heart. You know, your mind starts to race. There's that little feeling of, ooh, they do care. This might be it. Maybe this is the moment everything changes. And I want you to understand something. That reaction, it's not clarity. It's just activation. Your nervous system, that part that's trying to get resolved, that wants that calm, that relief, that's what's being activated. Because if you sit there and look at the actions and then this sudden reach out, if it's just a hello, right? What's it mean? Hey, how you doing? Or thinking about you. You've seen this in videos. So we're not going to react from that place. We're going to slow this down. So first, someone connects with you. If your avoidant X sends a message to you, regulate, because you're going to be lit up. You're going to be fired up. This is where we need to have our coaches. I've got a relationship coach who understands this anxious avoidant dynamic, right? She's been there and she's healed so much from it. When I talk to her, she's like, she's reading my mind, right? So I would reach out to her and I would actually get on the phone with her. I want to give you one rule, and it's just do not respond immediately. It might be hard because everything in you wants to, but when you respond right away, you're still sending them a message. You're responding from emotion, not awareness. So instead, you pause, right? If you respond right away, you are signaling to them that, hey, I'm right here, I'm available, come on, let's go. Jumping right back into it, and that's showing your emotional weakness, right? So you pause, breathe, step away from the phone. You haven't talked for a while anyway, so there's no need to like communicate right away if they message you. So you talk to someone first, someone who's grounded, someone who can ground you, someone who understands the dynamic. Like I said, a coach or a friend or someone who can hold you steady, that you can really talk to. It's not going to say, get over this, right? They're going to allow you to have your feelings, because when your system's activated, you don't need to make a decision. You need to regulate. So let's talk about 5 ways to handle this if you don't have to respond to someone. All right. They reach out and you feel like you have to answer. You don't. Let's walk through this slowly together. Give yourself space before you decide anything. Take a little bit of a walk. Breathe. Just go, because that tense, I can feel the tension. I know you want to respond. I know you're lit up. It feels kind of urgent. It feels important. If I don't respond, then I'm being mean again. That part of you that was activated before that made you absorb all their stuff. Nothing about this needs to happen immediately. Give yourself hours, even a day or two, because what you feel right now will not be what you feel once you've settled, and it won't be a good situation if you allow it to go somewhere. So you need to know where your guardrails are at. Number 2 is the reality check message. Now, look at what they actually said. Not what you felt, not what you hoped, but what they actually said. Is there ownership in the message? Is there accountability? Is there real effort? Or is it, hey, I'm thinking about you? Or how have you been? Because those mean nothing. Those aren't attempts to repair. Those are feelers. Those are frickin' manipulation texts. That's them going, I just want to make sure you're still out there. They're creating you as a Phantom X. That's what they're doing. Phantom X is the fake X in their head that they need so that they don't have to lock into some other relationship. Right? They need to know that something out there is there, right? And it was you, the one that really wanted them. The feelers, you'll pull back in without, that'll pull you back in without giving you anything real. The third thing is, don't let a breadcrumb feel like a meal, because that's exactly what that fucking message is if you get that. It's a goddamn breadcrumb. I want you to hear me on this one clearly. Those little messages, it's the same damn thing that they did to you before. Little breadcrumb can feel like a huge moment, but it's not. It's just contact. It's them breadcrumbing so they can have a little bit of their own validation, and then they're going to walk away again. And I know your heart wants to turn into something meaningful, but unless it comes from change, some change that they can actually come forward to in their first contact with you, it's the same dynamic in a different form. Fourth thing is anchor back into why you left. Maybe they're the one that left. I'm the one that left mine. Maybe they're the one that left you. Right? So you have to anchor back into the feelings of, if you have not gotten over this, you've got to anchor you got to look at the real feelings that you went through. There's so much hurt and pain that we're feeling that we sometimes forget to feel, to see the feelings that they put us through before they left. Maybe there's something out of the blue. It's almost never out of the blue, my friend. But I'm sure they made you feel bad. Okay? This is where you ground yourself, not in the good memories, not in the chemistry, in the reality. Why did this end? What were you feeling? What were you not getting? Because your mind will try to rewrite the story right now. Just like they like to rewrite the story right in a minute when you hold them accountable and they tell you it's your fault. Your mind is going to rewrite the story into something beautiful. And this is a great moment. They're going to come. That's why you ground yourself, to bring yourself back to the truth. And that's why you get on the phone and talk to people. Number 5 is choose yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable. This is the hardest thing, realizing that we weren't choosing ourselves in this whole dynamic, that we were choosing the relationship over peace and our own needs. It's a habit. It's a nervous system thing. And they trained us up, right? You didn't go into the relationship thinking that. You were vulnerable to it, and they trained you up into it. If that makes any sense. So you could have gotten in a normal relationship, and it actually would have been good. But you got into a person where you needed the intensity in the beginning, and that set the stage for everything. So this is the moment that defines everything, because choosing yourself here, it doesn't feel powerful. It feels uncomfortable and uncertain, and it might even feel like a loss because you're not responding to them, but it's not loss, it's alignment. And alignment, sometimes, my friend, is super painful and doesn't make sense. But if you're anxious, right, they've fucked up your alignment. And now we have to learn about that and realign in those areas so someone else can't do it. That little text, that can open up or throw off any alignment that you've done. You're no longer available for something that couldn't meet you. So listen, this right here, this is the test. This is when they were gone. But when they came back, right? It's whether you're trying to get them back through messaging to get that relief, or they message you and it doesn't mean anything, that's when your growth gets challenged. But that's the time that true challenge happens. So take your time, get yourself grounded, and remember who you were in that relationship, who you're becoming now. And maybe you don't feel like you're becoming something right now, but you are. Just keep listening to videos about this. We don't like to put people down. We don't like to have bad feelings towards people who hurt, like avoidance. And we want them to feel better, and we want so much to help them feel better. It's a losing deal because we're forgetting about ourselves. You don't need to go back to who you used to be just because they showed back up in a text. Don't do it. This is where you are right now. Drop a comment. If this is where you're at right now, drop a comment below. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me which one hit you of these rules that I was talking about. And if you're in no contact, stay there. You can borrow my backbone and pat yourself on the back for making it through every single day. You're doing so much better than you think you are. If this video is helpful, subscribe to the channel. I'm talking about this all the time because it hurts so bad to be in an anxious avoidant relationship dynamic that burned your ass. And pass this video on to somebody if you know that's going through this stuff. Give us a thumbs up, and I will talk to you in the next video. Stay in the no contact. It's the healthiest thing you could ever do.